are back, episode 12, Pull Up and Talk podcast. Aldo, before we go any further, this is our first female guest. You get a little salty with the language sometimes, so you watch your manners today, okay?
Yes, sir.
You watch the language today. Straight from this is really an honor, guys. Straight out of Bronx, New York. This is a young
Yes.
lady that went from, I guess you said it took you 2.5 years to get your first pull up to now,
Yes.
three
Yes.
time women's calisthenics champion,
Yep.
known as the Calisthenics Goddess, the
Yes.
self-proclaimed strongest woman in the universe, a claim that I'm not
Yes.
going to dispute. The one and only Miss Naima. What's up,
Miss
Naima?
Naima, journey to you, man. That's
Yes. How
let's
you
make it
guys
together and put it together.
doing? Thank you so much for having me. Hope all is well. Hope all is abundant. It's much appreciated. Thank you guys.
So we're going to get right into it because we got a lot of questions for you.
That's
So
good.
let's go back. We always like to start, back in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Were you from early on as a kid? Were you athletically inclined? Were you into gymnastics or any type of sports? Or later on, did you have some epiphany where you said, "Hey, I'm out of shape. I got to start changing my life," or things like that? Or is this something that goes way back that's been ingrained in you for a long time?
Yeah, this is definitely something starting from my childhood. I want to say around 9 years old, I started swim lessons at the YMCA. And the reason for me getting into the swim lessons because that summer I had went to Vermont with my aunt and we stayed 2 weeks up in the cabin. She has a cabin out there. And at this camp, we would go swimming twice a day. So I'm literally like, she picked me up from the Bronx. I'm like swimming. Oh, fire hydrants running through the sprinklers. But this wasn't like, this was different. This was a pool. This was a huge tub. And I wanted to go off the slide. A lifeguard had to assist me. But we would have like little like swim classes in the morning. Then we would have like free swim. And then we would have like free swim in the afternoon. I made it my business to take everything that the teacher was teaching us, what I took in from the other children. And the last day of swim camp, I went off that same slide that the lifeguard had to get me out of the water, and I made it across. And I don't know when I had a conversation with my parents. September came around, we were at the Y, and I wasn't even at the Y for too long. The director who was running the swim program told my dad, like, your daughter has something special. You need to take her to the swim meet. The swim team is located here. Speak to this guy. I went to practice. I only knew two strokes, and that was front crawl and back crawl. I wasn't even calling it freestyle or backstroke. I didn't know breaststroke, didn't know butterfly. And my dad was like, You like it? I was like, yeah. He's like, good. You're gonna do this is what you're gonna do. And 10 years old, I broke my first record. The record was actually older than me. It was a 100-meter breaststroke. I swam in like 1 minute 35 seconds. I think it's still a county record, to be honest.
No.
I'm not. The last time I checked, it was still holding, weight. So yeah, it definitely came from childhood. I was a big swimmer in Rockland County up in Rockland County. I was Rockland County's number one breaststroker for like 8 years running.
Oh
So
wow.
from 10 years old to 18 years old, no one in my county, in my district, or anything surrounding that area, they could not beat me in 100-yard breaststroke. And
Wow.
I did that until I was about like 50. Well, I always swam, but I ended up actually moving to several different teams and going to swim camps out in Fort Lauderdale, and then swimming for one of the biggest swim teams out in Westchester County, which I actually am a swim coach for at the moment.
Oh,
And it
nice.
just, yeah, it just stemmed from that swimming. And then my off seasons, I would always run track. So now, fast forward as an adult, I haven't done anything in 10 years, but I'm looking for an outlet to, to start fitness again.
Hmm.
Come across this body weight exercise. You don't need equipment. You don't need to go outside. You don't need a membership. You just have to have willpower, determination to get it done. And I was like, okay. And I started training through YouTube, watching Basca Money's channel, watching whatever Shredder did, putting a little sauce on it. But early on, I knew that if I wanted to be successful in this business, that I was going to have to train myself by
Mm,
myself
Right.
to be an example for those who are looking for outlets, but they don't want to be attached to anyone, but really is going on a soul journey. Because calisthenics is like, it does something to your mental, for
Right.
yeah.
the better. Um, you know, Automatically eating better. I haven't eaten meat since April of 2019. And that's when I consider myself an official athlete. Getting my first pull up, was in April of 2019. So I've always been an athlete. This wasn't, I don't even think it was so much of a choice. It just was
Right.
something that
Mm,
was in me, that I just always was the fastest in my class. I always was the strongest. I always was told, tone down my, being so strong. And one thing I
Right.
like about swimming is no one could tell you anything. You can't, because you can't hear no one say, oh, don't beat them too bad, or.
Right. Slow down a little bit.
No, I would get that. I
Yeah.
would get swimmers come up to me in big swim meets and be like, oh, my grandmother's here. Can you not beat me so bad today?
oh, jeez.
Really.
Yeah. Like, and this is I'm not even a teenager. This is like 11, 12 years old. Like, so we're doing this for a very long time.
So
So
Naima is okay. So I hear you. Is there somebody in your family like your dad? Because I know before we started the interview, you talked a little bit about your dad. Was your
Yes.
dad? I'm a dad myself, and I'm trying to influence my kid for fitness. Was your dad into fitness, or was
Yes.
anybody in your family like that, showing you an example of fitness, or you were just inclined to do this swimming thing?
So it was definitely my dad. My dad played basketball all the way into
Mm,
college. He actually won a chip in college. The college doesn't
mm,
no longer exist, but he went up against Mel Davis, who actually ended up playing for the Knicks and actually has the
mm.
only chip with the Knicks. Uh, and my dad recently had passed away, but at his
Sorry.
funeral, people expressed how my dad played no games. He didn't turn down no fight. He was the fastest. He was the smartest.
Mm,
He was the most crafty. And I seen my dad, growing up. Both my dad and my mom are very active people.
mm,
So my parents would play handball for
mm,
hours in the park. I remember getting on the bike with my dad and riding for miles all throughout the Bronx, sitting in the back of his seat. My parents both coached. My dad coached basketball, baseball. He never coached football, but basketball, baseball, those were like his primary sports. And my mom was a skater. So
mm,
roller skating on four wheels was like a big thing. So I just remember seeing my mother coming home with trophies every year. Oh, I got first place. Oh, I got second. I'm the best. And, always stepping into who she was when she's about to take action, talking it up, speaking things into existence, and then just standing on business. So, yeah, I came from a very athletic background. Like I said, I think it was just in me and it just came natural. And when you are an athlete and you see and you have a kid and you see it in your kid, you kind of know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of know. You see things, you'll start seeing yourself in your child. That's why I always tell people, like, if you don't like what you see when you look in the mirror, you need to work on yourself before you have a child, because
Mm.
that child is going to be an exact replica of what you may be trying to move away from, opposed
Right.
to embracing. So, like, if you don't like what you see, work on those things, because it's gonna come right in your kid. I have a daughter now. She one day she just gets in the water and just starts swimming. I'm like,
Mm. That's awesome. How old is she?
she's 8.
Sweet.
And she's gonna be a tall 8, and her whole swag, you would think she was swimming for years, because every sport, you develop your own little character, your own little
Mm-hmm.
swag to it. Every sport has a little swag to it. Swimming too. So just the way, like, we put our goggles on, how we step on the block, how we may approach a turn, or it's a swag. Same thing with calisthenics. You see, I always come out in my J's, in my socks, in my hoops, in my braids. That's a part of my costume, but it's part of me. It's part of my swag. That's
Right.
why if you look throughout all my fellow photos, even if before I started calisthenics, I'm always I'm always myself. Like,
That's awesome. Hey, you
yeah.
think looking good? Cause I thought about this before, and I noticed that on myself. When maybe I got a nicer shirt, do you think the workout gets better if
When
you look
you
good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Well,
swagged
see,
up.
the thing is, I'm gonna be honest. When I work out, I this is my job. So I'm approaching it like going on a date with
Mm,
myself, with my dreams, with my goals, with new milestones. Because
mm-hmm,
90% of the stuff that I share on these platforms is stuff that I never done before. I'm not in the background. That's why it's called the journey. I'm not in the
mm,
background heavily fixated on one mission, and then I share it with you guys, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!" But the person will never be like, "Oh, I've been training this for 6 months."
mm-hmm.
Right.
Me, I just kind of the way I build, it just has to make sense, and that's why I write everything down, and I keep everything in a book, so then I can reflect back of what I did, what I haven't done. And I just like to dot all my I's and cross all my T's. And that's why I was able to be in a space to do 2,000 push-ups or 2,000 squats or 1,000 pull-ups, because I'm constantly building. I leave where I left off, and if something is difficult, the most I may do it is 3 times to master it, and then I'm moving on.
Mm,
Mm.
And you can master something many ways. You could do 500 push-ups, 500 squats. You could do it body weight. You could do it weighted with a weight vest. You could do it with slow reps. You could do it with slow explosive reps. That right there, you heard one exercise, but when you every time you add or take away, it becomes a whole new workout. So that's how that's how I approach my training. So whatever you're seeing is where I'm at, like, and sometimes, like, on my channel, I may not announce what it is that I'm about to do, because I am still shy, and I'm like, and I don't want to be like, yeah, we're doing 1,000 reps, and then it's like, I don't have time to do 1,000 reps today,
I hear you.
or um sometimes well, you see in my videos, like, sometimes it starts raining, sometimes it starts snowing, sometimes the wind starts blowing. Sometimes, I get to, like, sometimes I'm just going through the motions, and it may take a little bit longer, and I got to get back to my daughter. So that's the only time, like, I don't really like today's usually. That's why I picked Monday. Monday's like a day to myself. It's the only day that I have to myself. And I usually try to get as much as I can within today.